Hi, welcome to this training on the DGET function. The DGET function is one of the powerful lookup functions that is relatively unknown. Now, the DGET function is used to extract information just like the VLOOKUP function does. It extracts a record that meets a specified criteria. So which means there's going to be a criteria that will be specified, and there will be a range within which that criteria will be searched for or selected. Now let's look at our syntax for the DGET function. We say the syntax is simply equal to DGET, which is our usual typing equal to, we write the function, you open a bracket, you select your range or the database, you take a comma, it will require you to put a field. Now the field is that particular header item that you require. So name could be a field, age could be a field, department could be a field. Now the criteria, which is the last argument in the logic syntax, is simply that particular condition that must be met before the system executes the DGET function. Now let's look at our data and see how we can use the DGET function. We have this information about staff sales report for different locations, 4 items on sales: phones, laptops, television, and fans. These are the 4 items on sale. Now we're going to look at how each staff performed by simply entering the staff ID and just hitting the enter keyboard will extract the performance of that particular staff. So the first thing we're going to do is copy this. Let's rearrange this. I'm going to copy this, and I want to transpose it somewhere here. Let me transpose it here. Okay, now I've just transposed this. If you don't know how this is transposed, you go to our YouTube channel where transpose and other items are treated. Now I've transposed this. I guess let me move this to this place. So the first thing we're going to do is we need a unique value, just like we did when we're looking at the VLOOKUP function. Remember, we said the syntax is equal to DGET. So let me do this, equal to DGET. So I'm going to open a bracket and I'll select my range, which is my database. I'll take a comma and pick my field. I already explained what field is. Field in this case could be staff ID, staff name, location, phones, laptop, and so on. Now the next thing is the criteria. So this is our logic syntax for the DGET. Now I'm going to create the criteria somewhere here. Let's create the I want to create let's create the criteria here. Let's put it here, criteria. Or let me widen this place a little bit so I can put the criteria there. Okay, I'm just going to write here criteria. Now we know that the criteria I want to use to extract all the information is the staff ID. That is a unique ID. So I'm going to say staff ID will be the criteria. Now I'm just going to create a colored cell under. Not that that is a requirement for the DGET, but just to differentiate where we're going to key in the staff ID number, which is our requirement. Now I'm going to key in a number, assuming I have a number keyed in here. Let me take this number. That number is M0054985. Cool. So I've keyed in that number here. What we expect is the moment we select this number, we should be able to generate information for all these values: the staff name, location, and the performance. So we're going to use the criteria there to say equal to DGET. So the next is asking us is the database, which is our R, and the whole of this is my R. Usually I hold this fixed because of the need to copy it down. I'm going to take a comma. The next thing is asking us is the field. Which field are we talking about? In this particular situation, we're talking about the staff ID, so that is my field. Now I take a comma and it's asking me for the criteria. Now the criteria, of course, is the staff selected ID number, which is this one. Now that particular cell is where I'm going to be keying in this. So I'm going to say staff ID including that. I just hold that place fixed. I hope I'm covering everywhere. Yeah, that's cool. Now that's all I need. I just press my enter key. Now I've just picked that value. If I copy this down, now I have all the information I need. Now if I change this value here, DGET will automatically change the values there. Let me copy another number. I'm just going to copy there. Let me put another number there. You notice that I have selected another staff. Let me pick another number. If I select this number and I click my OK here, I've selected another number. So that's how the DGET is used to extract information from the database. Now what I'm going to do simply is just to highlight this and plot a little chart, and let's see how the chart can be linked to our DGET information. But one thing about DGET that VLOOKUP lacks is I deliberately wrote some numbers in red. Now I have here 98898 and I have the same number here. Now if I pick those numbers, any of those numbers, let me pick this and let's see what happened. I'm going to enter that number M00330898. Now that number exists there, but if I press enter, look at what it's giving me. So despite the fact that the value I've selected is in the database, DGET is showing an error message. Now what has happened? The DGET function looks through the whole data before bringing out its solution. So it has looked through the data and find out that there are more than one of that particular entry. So it gets confused as to which particular one that you require. So it brings in an error message. Now VLOOKUP, start looking from the top. If it was VLOOKUP we're using, VLOOKUP will pick information about this particular stuff here and ignore the other ones. So VLOOKUP will pick the first item that occurs. So let's use VLOOKUP and see. VLOOKUP, we've already done VLOOKUP before, so I'm just going to rush through this. So I'm going to VLOOKUP this item. I take a comma within this area. I'm going to hold this fixed. Comma is going to ask me for column index number, so I'm just going to use the match function which we've done before. I'm going to match this in the whole of this header. I hold that fixed also. I'm going to select the exact match and I take false. Okay, cool. Now this is the VLOOKUP statement. I guess I'm supposed to hold this fixed too. Okay, so let's copy down and see if we have the same value. Now this is the VLOOKUP statement. You see that VLOOKUP statement has produced result for this particular line, neglecting or ignoring rather this particular line that has similar number. But if I place in a number that is common, is unique there, find out that both VLOOKUP and DGET will supply the same answer. So DGET has additional criteria of sorting through the whole item before producing result. Now that I've done this, all I need to is let me just create a validation list here so that I can just get the number straight instead of going up and down. So I'm going to create a validation list here. If you don't know how to create a validation list, go to our YouTube channel where that is treated as a separate topic for free. So I'm going to create a validation list here and then I just take OK. So what I've done is just to create a list here so that I don't get going up and down to search for those information. So I'm just taking this one and changing that cell color. This cool. So here I can easily select any number and my data will be reflected. So let's take off this because this is VLOOKUP and that's not what we are treating here. Now I'm just going to create a little bit of but now we've done this, so we can actually, we don't need this anymore, but I don't want to delete it. So what I want to do is just to come here and change this and this. Okay, so I already have that sorted, so I can easily draw a little bit of a chart and move it here. So I'm going to give that chart the title of the name. So let me put that here, and that's okay. So I have Fatumbi Emmanuel there. So if I have got to change any of these numbers, I can see that my chart responds immediately to the performance of that particular candidate. So that is how these items are used. Now, when you have cause to delete this, you see, now most templates show this. It's not a very good way of preparing templates. So when I have this, I usually knock that off with my if error. So I'm going to come here and say if error, so that if I don't have any figure there, I don't want to see that. I just create a space there, and that's all. So I'm going to copy this down, which means anytime I don't have a figure here, I don't want to see that error message. Just be blank. So I get this, and that's what I want. So let's look at our formula again. We said I've just used this if error because I want to knock off the error message. DGET, I took the range. After the range, I selected the field and the criteria range. So that's how to use the DGET to extract information. Thank you very much for listening. In another video, which is coming after this, we're also going to see other lookup functions that are used to extract data from a particular section of your workbook.